Nathan stood on my porch with a suitcase in one hand and a forged power of attorney in the other. He tried the locked door and shouted, "You are not thinking clearly. My name is Margaret Ellison. I was 69 years old that December, widowed for almost 7 years, and living alone in a sun-warmed adobe house outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. My husband Richard and I had bought the place when our children were still young. We raised them there, planted apricot trees in the back garden, and spent 29 Christmas mornings opening presents beside the same stone fireplace. After Richard died, the house sometimes felt empty, but it also felt safe. I volunteered at the library, met my sister on Fridays, and had learned that solitude and loneliness were not the same thing. So when my youngest son Nathan called me 10 days before Christmas and begged me to fly to Boston, I was surprised. "Mom, please," he said. "This year has been awful. The kids keep asking for you. We want a real family Christmas." His voice sounded strained, almost shaky. Nathan had always known how to make urgency sound like love. He told me his wife, Vanessa, had been overwhelmed at work. He said their son, Miles, had been having trouble sleeping, and their daughter, Lily, cried because she missed Grandma. He even mentioned that Christmas might be the last one we could all spend together in their current house because they were considering major changes. That phrase bothered me, but he moved past it quickly. I reminded him that holiday flights were expensive. He said money did not matter. I told him I had already promised to spend Christmas Eve with my older daughter, Rebecca, in Albuquerque. He said Rebecca would understand. Then he lowered his voice and said, "Mom, I don't ask you for much." That was not true. For years, I had paid their phone bill, helped with their down payment, and bought their second vehicle. After Richard died, I also created a $17,000 emergency account for medical care, urgent repairs, or a genuine crisis involving the children. Nathan knew all of that, but when he said he did not ask for much, I felt the old reflex rise inside me, the need to prove I was still a good mother. I booked a flight. On December 23rd, I left Santa Fe before sunrise and landed at Boston Logan after dark. Snow blew sideways across the runway. My suitcase was delayed, and Nathan, who had promised to collect me, sent a last-minute message telling me to take a ride share. The ride to their suburb cost more than $90. I told myself not to be petty. It was Christmas. Families were imperfect. People got overwhelmed. Their street was lined with white lights and expensive wreaths. Nathan's house glowed at the end of the cul-de-sac, every window bright, a large red bow tied around the front door. For one hopeful second, I imagined Miles and Lily waiting behind it in pajamas, ready to throw themselves into my arms. Instead, the door opened before I reached the porch. Nathan stood there wearing a fitted ski jacket. Vanessa was behind him in cream-colored boots, holding a designer handbag. 2 silver suitcases waited in the foyer beside a pair of skis, a garment bag, and a case of champagne. No one hugged me. Vanessa looked at her watch. "You're later than we expected," she said. "My suitcase took a while," I answered. "Merry Christmas." Nathan stepped around me, lifted my bag from the porch, and placed it just inside the door. He did not ask how the flight had been. Then Miles ran into the hallway. He was 7, all elbows and dark curls. Lily, who was 5, followed him holding a stuffed rabbit. They both shouted my name, and I bent to hug them. Their warmth was the only honest thing in that house. Nathan clapped his hands once. "Okay, perfect," he said. "The sitter's here." I stood up slowly. "The what?" Vanessa laughed. Not nervously, not apologetically. She laughed as though Nathan had delivered a line they had practiced. "We're leaving for Vermont," she said. 3 nights, maybe 4, depending on the weather. The kids' schedule is on the kitchen counter. I looked from her to my son. "You asked me to come for Christmas." "And you are here for Christmas," Nathan said, "with the kids. You told me the family needed to be together." "We do need family," Vanessa replied. "That's why this works." They exchanged a smile. It was a small smile, but it told me everything. They were pleased with themselves. They had built the entire deception around my guilt and my age. They assumed I would be too tired to leave, too embarrassed to object, and too afraid of losing access to my grandchildren to say no. Nathan picked up the champagne case. "We already paid for the lodge," he said. "It's adults only. We need time to reconnect." Vanessa handed me a pink folder. "Meals, school break activities, screen time limits, allergy instructions, house rules, and cleaning notes," she said. "Please wash the guest room sheets before you leave, and don't use the good towels." The humiliation was so deliberate that something inside me became completely still. I did not raise my voice. I did not ask how they could do this. I did not give them the performance they expected. I took the folder. "All right," I said. "Drive carefully." Nathan frowned. That was not the reaction he wanted. He had prepared for tears, maybe an argument he could later describe as me being unstable. My calm unsettled him. "You're okay with it?" he asked. "I understand exactly what's happening." Vanessa rolled her eyes as if I were being dramatic. "Good. Then we should go before the roads get worse." They kissed the children quickly. Nathan told Miles to listen to Grandma. Vanessa reminded Lily not to touch the gifts under the tree. Then they rolled their suitcases past me and hurried toward a black sedan, waiting in the driveway. As Nathan opened the car door, he turned back. "Oh, and Mom, the groceries are kind of low. There's a card in the kitchen drawer." The sedan disappeared through the falling snow. I stepped inside, closed the door, and turned the deadbolt. The house was warm, expensive, and filthy. Wrapping paper covered the dining table. Dirty dishes filled both sides of the sink. A sour smell came from a trash bag beside the pantry. Laundry had been dumped across the upstairs railing as though someone had emptied baskets from a moving car. The Christmas tree was beautiful from a distance, but underneath it were dozens of unopened delivery boxes, many with luxury store labels. Miles tugged my sleeve. "Grandma, are Mom and Dad mad at us?" "No, sweetheart. They said they needed a Christmas without kids." The sentence landed harder than anything Nathan had said. I crouched beside him. "None of this is because of you. You and Lily did nothing wrong." He nodded, but he did not look convinced. I made them grilled cheese and tomato soup because it was the fastest warm meal I could manage. While they ate, I opened Vanessa's pink folder. It was 9 pages long. The first pages listed wake-up times, meals, screen limits, 5 loads of laundry, and a cleaning chart. I was expected to vacuum both floors, scrub the bathroom, clean the refrigerator, and polish the dining table before Christmas morning. There was a handwritten note at the bottom. "Since you'll be staying for free, please leave the guest suite cleaner than you found it." I read it twice. Another page ordered me to prepare Christmas dinner for Vanessa's parents, who had not been told their daughter would be gone. I was supposed to cook, host, clean, and explain the absence. The last page contained a list titled "Things to Discuss with Margaret." Move to Massachusetts by spring. Sell Santa Fe house. Transfer proceeds into family investment plan. Provide childcare 4 days per week. Contribute to kitchen expansion. Update estate documents. My hand stopped moving. That was not a family conversation. It was an acquisition plan. I closed the folder and stared at the dark window over the sink. My reflection looked tired, but not weak. I thought about every time Nathan had called me too independent or said it was unsafe for a woman my age to live alone. I had interpreted those comments as concern. Now I understood that he was not worried about my safety. He was worried that my independence made my money harder to reach. On the counter beside the coffee machine sat Nathan's tablet. The screen was awake, displaying an email confirmation from a private ski lodge near Stowe. 4 nights, Mountain View Suite, couples massage, chef's tasting menu, snowmobile excursion, total estimated cost, $11,840. The payment method showed the last 4 digits of the emergency account I had created. For a moment, I felt physically cold. I opened my banking application. The account balance was $5,163. Less than a month earlier, it had held almost $17,000. I searched the transactions. There were charges for the lodge, ski rentals, a jewelry store, 2 restaurant deposits, and something labeled VIP Winter Experience. They had not merely used the account for one impulsive trip. They had been draining it for weeks. I could have called Nathan immediately. I could have demanded explanations. But an argument would only give him time to move money, delete messages, or invent a medical emergency. Richard had spent 32 years as a commercial insurance investigator. He used to tell me, when someone shows you the scene of a loss, don't touch anything until you know what belongs to whom. So I did not touch the tablet. I photographed every page of the pink folder. I took screenshots of the resort confirmation and the account transactions. Then I opened the emergency account settings. Because I had created the account and remained the primary owner, I had full authority to move the funds. I transferred the remaining $5,163 into my personal savings. Then I placed a security freeze on further withdrawals and requested a full transaction history. Next, I logged into the family mobile plan. Nathan and Vanessa had been on my account for 7 years. I had added them when Vanessa was pregnant with Miles and never removed them. Their monthly bill had grown from $80 to nearly $260 because of upgraded devices, premium data, international roaming, and insurance. I selected both lines and suspended service. Then I opened the auto insurance account. The silver SUV in their driveway, the one I had bought after Lily was born, was titled in my name. Nathan was listed as an authorized driver. I removed his authorization effective midnight and downloaded a copy of the title. I was not punishing them. I was ending subsidies they had converted into entitlements. Lily came into the kitchen carrying her rabbit. "Grandma, can we still make cookies?" "Yes," I said. "We can make cookies." I found flour, sugar, and butter. We mixed dough at the counter while Christmas music played softly from a speaker. Miles cut stars. Lily made crooked trees. They told me about school, their friends, and the presents they hoped Santa would bring. The more they talked, the angrier I became, not at them, but for them. Nathan and Vanessa had not only tricked me, they had left 2 small children days before Christmas without a proper goodbye, then described it as a romantic necessity. They expected the children to absorb rejection quietly while I cleaned the house around them. At 8:30, I put them to bed. Miles asked, "Will Mom and Dad be back for Santa?" I sat on the edge of his bed. They may have to change their plans. Did they forget Christmas? No, I said carefully. Adults sometimes remember what they want and forget what other people need. He looked toward the hallway. Are you leaving too? The fear in his voice broke something open in me. Not until another grown-up who loves you is here, I promised. When both children were asleep, I went into Nathan's office to find the contact list for Vanessa's parents. The room looked organized at first glance, but the desk drawers were packed with overdue notices, unopened statements, and loan offers. A red envelope from the mortgage company warned that their payment was 23 days late. Another letter showed a balance of more than $34,000 on a home equity line of credit. Nathan earned a good salary. Vanessa did too. Their problem was not income. Their problem was that every increase in income had been followed by a more expensive car, a larger renovation, another trip, and another promise that someone else would help if things became uncomfortable. I found a black notebook beneath a stack of catalogs. The cover said, 2025 Family Strategy. I would normally never read a private journal, but a yellow tab marked Margaret protruded from the side. I opened it. The first page contained a timeline. December. Create emotional urgency. Get her to Boston. January. Discuss safety concerns and isolation. February. Schedule memory assessment if she resists. March. Obtain durable power of attorney. April. List Santa Fe property. May. Use proceeds for mortgage, kitchen, and investment property. There were notes in 2 different handwritings. Vanessa's was narrow and slanted. Nathan's was heavier, with square capital letters. Next to memory assessment, Nathan had written, "She'll be offended," presented as love. Next to power of attorney, Vanessa had written, "Use Rebecca's absence against her. Say family needs one decision maker." Then I reached a page titled, "Possible Objections." She loves the house. Response. Emphasize stairs, desert heat, distance from hospital. She will say she has friends. Response. Friends are not family. She may leave assets equally to Rebecca. Response. Explain Nathan has younger children in greater need. She may refuse to babysit. Response. Make her feel useful. Mention grandchildren missing her. At the bottom, circled twice, were the words, "Do not let her speak to lawyer alone." I sat in Nathan's chair, listening to the heating system hum. For years I had defended him. When Rebecca said he was manipulative, I told her he was under stress. When my sister said Vanessa treated me like an ATM, I accused her of being judgmental. When Richard was alive, he had once warned me that Nathan confused being loved with being rescued. I thought Richard was being too hard on him. Now I was holding a written plan to strip me of my home, my autonomy, and possibly my legal competence. I photographed every page. Then I found something worse. Inside the back cover was a photocopy of my driver's license and a printed sample of my signature. Beside it was a draft power of attorney form naming Nathan as my agent. My date of birth was correct. My address was correct. The document claimed I had increasing cognitive difficulty and wished my son to manage all real estate, banking, and medical decisions. The signature line was blank, but someone had practiced my signature 3 times on a yellow sticky note. I did not cry. I placed everything exactly where I had found it, went downstairs, and called my attorney, Helen Cho. Helen had helped Richard and me update our estate plan years earlier. She answered on the 4th ring, sounding sleepy. "Margaret, is everything all right?" "No," I said, "but I am safe. I need you to listen carefully." I explained the trip, the children, the account, the notebook, and the draft document. Helen did not interrupt. When I finished, her voice had changed. "Do not sign anything," she said. "I won't." "Do not accuse them yet. Send me the photographs. I'm going to prepare a revocation notice for any prior authority, even if none exists, and an alert for the county recorder. Tomorrow morning, call your bank's fraud department and the title company that handled your purchase. We'll also place a notice with the property records office. Can someone sell my house with a forged document? Not easily, but attempted fraud does not have to succeed to damage you. We are going to make it impossible for anyone to claim they acted in good faith." I looked toward the stairs. I also need to leave this house without abandoning the children. Call a local relative, document the handoff. And Margaret? Yes? You are not overreacting. Those 4 words nearly made me cry when all the cruelty had not. I sent her the photographs. Then I called Vanessa's father, Martin Hale. Martin was a retired high school principal who lived 25 minutes away. He and I were not close, but he had always been civil. He answered with cheerful confusion. "Margaret, you made it in." "I did. Nathan and Vanessa left for Vermont." There was a pause. "They what?" "They told me I was here to babysit. I need you and Denise to come over." "Right now?" "Yes. Please bring your overnight things." His voice hardened. "We'll be there in half an hour." While I waited, I packed the few items I had taken from my carry-on. My delayed suitcase had been sent to the house and sat unopened in the entryway. I zipped it closed and placed both bags beside the door. Then I wrote a factual timeline on a sheet of paper. 7:42 p.m. Nathan and Vanessa departed. 8:03 p.m. Children ate dinner. 8:30 p.m. Children placed safely in bed. 9:16 p.m. Martin Hale contacted. 9:49 p.m. Martin and Denise arrived. At 9:47, headlights swept across the front windows. Martin entered first, snow on his shoulders. Denise followed, carrying a duffel bag. They looked from my luggage to the pink folder on the table. "Where are they?" Denise asked. "At a ski lodge near Stowe." "They told us they were hosting Christmas," Martin said. "They told me the same thing." I handed him the folder. He read the cleaning list, his mouth tightening with every line. Denise took the pages from him and reached the final section about selling my home. "What is this?" she whispered. "The reason they wanted me here." Denise sat down. For years, she had excused Vanessa's behavior as ambition. In that moment, I watched a mother confront the difference between confidence and cruelty. Martin looked toward the stairs. "The children are asleep?" "Yes, they've eaten. Miles is anxious that his parents won't be back for Christmas. Lily has a mild cough but no fever. Their pediatrician's number is on the refrigerator." "You're leaving," he said. "I am." Denise's face flushed. "Margaret, I am so sorry." "Thank you, but I do not need an apology from you." I gave Martin the house key Nathan had left on the counter. Then I asked both of them to sign the handoff timeline, confirming they had taken responsibility for the children. Martin signed without hesitation. Denise did too. I put the paper in my purse. As I reached for my coat, Martin said, "How are you getting to the airport?" "In the SUV." Nathan had left the keys hanging beside the garage door. Denise looked startled. "Won't they need it?" "The vehicle belongs to me." No one argued. I carried my bags into the garage, loaded them into the silver SUV, and backed into the snowy driveway. Before I left, I saw Martin standing in the doorway holding Vanessa's pink folder, like evidence from a crime scene. The road toward Boston was slick. Snowplows crawled along the highway, spraying salt behind them. I drove carefully, my phone mounted beside the dashboard. Nathan called 22 minutes later. The first call went to voicemail. The second did too. On the third, I answered through the car's speaker. "Mom!" His voice was sharp with panic. "What happened to the emergency account?" "I moved the remaining money." "You can't do that." "I can. It is my account." "We're at check-in. The lodge says the final authorization was declined. They're holding our bags. Vanessa is standing here crying." I heard Vanessa in the background. "I am not crying. Tell her she has 5 minutes to fix it." Nathan lowered his voice. "Mom, please, we're already here. The deposit is non-refundable." "Then you should pay with your own money." "Our cards are close to the limit." "That sounds like a budgeting problem." His breathing became loud. "You knew we were coming here." "No. You lied and said I was coming for a family Christmas. We needed a break. You used an emergency fund to buy that break. It was going to be temporary. The account has been losing money for weeks." Silence. Then he changed tactics. "Are the kids okay?" "They are safe with Martin and Denise." "What do you mean with Martin and Denise?" "I transferred responsibility to local family members who agreed to care for them." "You left my children?" "No, Nathan. You left your children. I arranged a safe handoff." Vanessa shouted something I could not understand. Nathan's voice rose. "Where are you?" "Driving to the airport." "You need to turn around." "No. You cannot just take our car and disappear." "It is not your car. The title is in my name." He stopped breathing for a second. "Mom, don't be ridiculous. I also suspended your mobile lines. They will remain active long enough for emergency calling. but the paid service ends tonight. You're doing all of this over babysitting. No, I am doing it because you stole from an emergency account, deceived me into traveling across the country, and created a written plan to take control of my house. The line went completely silent. I continued. I found the black notebook. Nathan whispered, "What notebook?" "The one with my name tabbed in yellow. The one that says you should arrange a memory assessment if I resist selling my home. The one containing a copy of my license and a draft power of attorney." Vanessa began screaming so loudly I could hear every word. "She went through our office. That is private. She had no right." I kept my eyes on the road. "Nathan, listen carefully. Do not destroy anything. Do not contact my bank. Do not attempt to file any document involving me or my property. My attorney now has copies." "Mom, you misunderstood." "Then you can explain it to a lawyer." "Please don't do this. We're family." You remembered that word only when the card declined. He began to cry. Whether the tears were real or tactical, I could not tell. "Mom, I love you." "I love you too," I said. "But love does not require me to finance my own exploitation." I ended the call. 3 minutes later, my phone rang from Vanessa's number. I did not answer. Then Martin called. "They're calling us," he said. "You can answer or not. The children are safe." "Yes. Denise is sitting with Miles. He woke up." "Thank you." "Margaret, Vanessa says you stole the SUV." "I have the title." "I know. I told her that." There was a trace of grim satisfaction in his voice. He added, "She also said you ruined Christmas." "Christmas was already ruined for 2 children before I arrived." Martin exhaled. "I should have seen this sooner." Most parents see what they hope is true. So what happens now? I go home. You decide what boundaries you need with your daughter. I reached Logan Airport just after midnight. The terminal garage was nearly full. I drove to level 6 and found a space beneath a security camera. I backed in, photographed the level, row, and license plate, then locked the doors. I did not abandon the vehicle. I stored my property in a paid, monitored garage. At the ticket counter, the earliest flight west left at 6:10 a.m. The fare was outrageous, but for the first time that night, spending money felt like buying freedom rather than paying ransom. I reserved a seat. Then I sent Nathan one final email because I no longer trusted text messages to remain available. The SUV is secured in Logan Airport Central Parking, Level 6, Row D. The title is in my name. I will decide later whether to retrieve or sell it. Martin and Denise accepted care of the children at 9:49 p.m. and signed a handoff record. Future communication must be in writing. Do not contact my bank, attorney, physician, or county property office on my behalf. Any attempt to represent yourself as my agent will be treated as fraud. I copied Helen. Then I blocked Nathan and Vanessa on my phone. I sat near the gate while airport workers cleaned the floors around me. Families slept across rows of chairs. A little girl wearing reindeer pajamas rested her head on her father's suitcase. Somewhere down the concourse, a recorded voice wished travelers happy holidays. I thought I would feel devastated. Instead, I felt clear. There is a particular kind of grief that comes when your child is still alive, but the version of him you loved exists only in memory. I remembered Nathan at 8 years old, bringing me a bird with an injured wing. I remembered him at 17, crying in the garage after his first heartbreak. I remembered the man who held Richard's hand in the hospital and promised to look after me. Perhaps that man had not vanished entirely, but I could no longer organize my life around the hope that he might return, while the man he had become emptied my accounts. At 5:30, I called Rebecca. She answered immediately. "Mom, it's 4 in the morning." "I know. I'm at Logan." There was a pause. "You left already?" "Yes." "What happened?" I told her the shortest version. She did not say, "I warned you." She said, "Send me your flight number. I'll meet you in Albuquerque. I can rent a car to Santa Fe." "No, you are not driving alone after being awake all night." Her firmness felt different from Nathan's. It was protective without being controlling. "Thank you," I said. "Mom?" "Yes?" "I'm proud of you." I closed my eyes. The flight left on time. When we rose above the clouds, Boston disappeared beneath a white sheet of winter. I looked down at the frozen landscape and felt the first wave of exhaustion hit me. I slept for almost 2 hours, woke during turbulence, and then spent the rest of the flight organizing photographs, emails, and notes into folders. By the time I landed in Albuquerque, I had created a complete record. Rebecca was waiting near baggage claim in a green wool coat. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. "You look terrible," she said. "I feel excellent." She laughed, then saw my face and stopped. "What aren't you telling me?" "In the car." The drive north took a little over an hour. I told her everything, including the signature samples and the plan to question my memory. Rebecca gripped the steering wheel. "They were going to declare you incompetent? They were going to create doubt. That may have been enough for whatever they planned next." "I'm going to kill him." "No, you're going to do nothing. Helen is handling the legal part." Rebecca shook her head. "You always protected him." "I know. Even when Dad tried to warn you." "I know." She glanced at me, and her expression softened. "I'm sorry." "So am I." At my house, the apricot trees were bare, and the desert sky was an impossible blue. Rebecca carried my bags inside. Everything was exactly as I had left it. The folded blanket on the sofa, the bowl of oranges on the table, Richard's old brass clock ticking above the fireplace. I had never been so grateful for ordinary things. We spent Christmas Eve at Rebecca's home in Albuquerque. Her husband Daniel opened the door wearing an apron dusted with flour. Their 2 teenage daughters shouted when they saw me. No one asked why I had come early until I was ready to explain. We made tamales, played cards, and watched an old movie after dinner. I helped because I wanted to, not because a list instructed me to. When I carried plates to the kitchen, Daniel took them from my hands. "You're a guest," he said. The word nearly undid me. At midnight, snow began to fall over the Sandia Mountains. Rebecca handed me a small wrapped box. Inside was a silver keychain engraved with one sentence: "Your home, your life, your choice." "I ordered it months ago," she said. "I was going to give it to you anyway." I held it in my palm and cried for the first time. Not because I felt weak, because someone in my family had seen my independence as something to honor. Christmas morning was peaceful until 10:17, when Rebecca's phone began ringing. Nathan had found her number on an old family contact list. She let it ring. Then a message appeared. "Tell Mom to stop this. We had to leave the lodge. Vanessa's parents are refusing to take the kids after tomorrow. Our phones are shut off. The SUV is at the airport. She is destroying our family." Rebecca showed me. "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing. He'll keep calling." "Then block him." She did. At noon, Helen called with the first legal update. She had filed a notarized statement declaring that Nathan and Vanessa had no authority to act for me in financial, medical, or property matters. She had notified my banks, the county clerk, and the title insurer. She also recommended replacing my existing estate documents with a new trust structure and independent successor trustee. "There's more," she said. "I ran a preliminary property search. Someone requested a copy of your deed 2 weeks ago through an online service." "Who?" "The request used Nathan's email address." Rebecca, sitting beside me, heard the answer through the speaker and swore under her breath. Helen continued. "A deed request alone is not illegal, but combined with the draft power of attorney and signature practice, it supports your concern. I want you to sign an affidavit documenting what you found. I will. And Margaret, do not meet Nathan alone. Do you think he will come here? I think people who feel entitled to control often become most unpredictable when control disappears. I looked at the Christmas tree. All right. That afternoon, I changed the alarm code to my house. I installed a doorbell camera, moved important documents into a safe deposit box, and changed every banking password. The practical work steadied me. For the next 3 days, Nathan sent emails. The first was angry. You invaded our privacy and stole our transportation. We trusted you in our home. You had no right to read personal planning notes. We were trying to create a future that would keep you close to your grandchildren. You twisted everything. The second was wounded. I cannot believe my own mother would abandon me during Christmas. Miles keeps asking why Grandma hates us. Vanessa has barely slept. We are in serious financial trouble because of what you did. The third was strategic. Let's calm down and discuss the misunderstanding. The power of attorney draft was only a precaution. The memory assessment was a suggestion from an elder care article. No one intended to sell your property without consent. Return access to the emergency account, and we can reset. I printed every email. I replied only once. Do not involve the children in adult conflict. Do not tell them I hate them. I am available to speak with Miles and Lily through Martin or Denise. All other communication must go through Helen Cho. Nathan responded within 6 minutes. You are making this legal when it is family. I did not answer. On December 27th, Martin called. His voice sounded exhausted. Nathan and Vanessa came home Christmas Eve, he said. Vanessa screamed at Denise for an hour. She said we betrayed them by helping you leave. I'm sorry you were put in that position. They also blamed us for the children knowing they took a trip. The children saw the suitcases. I know. He hesitated. There's something else. Vanessa asked me to sign a statement saying you seemed confused when you arrived. I closed my eyes. What did you say? I told her you were the clearest person in the house. Thank you. She said it would only be used to convince you to move closer. That is not how statements work. I know. I was a school principal for 38 years, Margaret. I know what it looks like when someone is building a record. His voice cracked. I raised her better than this. Maybe you did. Adults still choose who they become. He told me the children could remain with him and Denise through New Year's, while Nathan and Vanessa arranged transportation and childcare. Then he asked whether I wanted to speak with them. Miles came on first. Grandma, are you mad at me? No, sweetheart, never. Dad said you took Christmas away. Christmas is not a trip, a car, or a credit card. Christmas is people treating each other with love. You did nothing wrong. Will I see you again? Yes. We'll plan a visit when the grown-ups can make safe, respectful plans. Lily sang part of a song she had learned at school. I listened until she forgot the words and giggled. When the call ended, I sat alone at my kitchen table. This was the part no one tells you about boundaries. Even when they are necessary, they can hurt innocent people at the edges. I wanted to fly back, scoop up my grandchildren, and protect them from every ugly conversation. But rescuing everyone immediately would place me back inside the same system. Nathan would learn that all he had to do was create enough discomfort around the children, and I would surrender. So I stayed home. On January 3rd, the bank confirmed that Nathan had accessed the emergency account with old credentials I had once given him for a hospital bill. I filed a fraud claim. 2 days later, Helen discovered that someone using Nathan's email had requested a copy of my deed and hired a real estate photographer to document my property. The photographer appeared at my gate that afternoon. He said he had been told the house would soon be listed by the owner's authorized son. I sent him away, saved the doorbell recording, and made a police report. A week later, an overnight envelope arrived. Inside was a durable power of attorney naming Nathan as my agent. It authorized him to sell my home, control my accounts, choose where I lived, and pay himself for my assets for care coordination. Beneath it was a purchase agreement selling my house to a company Vanessa had registered 3 weeks earlier for nearly $200,000 below market value. My signature was already on the final page. It was a forgery. Helen contacted the sheriff's office. I changed the alarm code, locked my title records, and placed the original documents in a safe deposit box. Then Martin called. Nathan is flying to New Mexico tomorrow. He says he is going to finish this face-to-face. The next afternoon, my doorbell camera alerted me. Nathan stood on my porch with a suitcase and a leather folder. For one painful second, I saw the little boy I had raised. Then he tried the door handle. "Mom, open up." I spoke through the camera. "Leave the property, Nathan. We need to talk." Through attorneys, he lifted the folder. I brought the solution. "You brought papers that give you my life." His expression hardened. "You are not thinking clearly." The sentence came directly from the notebook. "You live alone in a paid-off house while your son is drowning," he shouted. "What kind of mother does that?" "The kind who already paid your down payment, phones, car, an emergency fund." He struck the door with his fist. A sheriff's vehicle turned onto the street. Nathan stared at it, then at the camera. "You called the police on your own child. You came after written notice not to." The deputy formally trespassed him from my property. Before leaving, Nathan said, "You'll regret this when you're old and alone." That fear had controlled me for years. "I was lonelier when I trusted you," I answered. After he was escorted away, the deputy opened the leather folder. It contained the forged agreement and emails, showing that Vanessa's company intended to resell my home after acquiring it cheaply. The Financial Crimes Unit opened an investigation. The bank recovered part of the missing money. I sold the SUV and placed the proceeds in a protected education trust for Miles and Lily, where neither parent could withdraw it. Months later, during legal mediation, Nathan finally stopped calling everything a misunderstanding. "I lied to bring you to Boston," he said. "I used the account. I knew about the house plan. I saw the forged signature and did nothing." "What are you sorry for?" I asked. "For acting as if your life belonged to us." It was the first honest apology he had given me. I did not forgive him immediately. I did not restore the phone plan, return the car, reopen the account, or give him access to my home. An apology could begin accountability, but it could not replace it. The agreement required Nathan and Vanessa to repay the missing money, abandon every claim to my property, and stop contacting my banks, doctors, and service providers. Visits with the grandchildren were arranged through Martin and Denise. Over the following year, Nathan called once a month. At first, he complained about the consequences. Later, he stopped saying, "You did this to us," and began saying, "What I did caused this." The next Christmas, I stayed in Santa Fe. Rebecca's family came over, and Martin brought Miles and Lily for the week. We cooked together, made paper stars, and left flour all over the kitchen. Nathan joined by video for 20 minutes. Before hanging up, he said, "Thank you for letting me call." He did not demand forgiveness, ask for money, or assume the boundary had expired because a year had passed. "You're welcome," I said. Later, beneath the cold desert sky, I understood that I had not destroyed my family. I had forced every relationship to reveal whether it could survive without my surrender. For years, I had confused support with sacrifice. I believed a good mother prevented every crisis, covered every bill, and absorbed every insult. But a family held together by one person's silence is not peaceful. It is simply quiet around the person being harmed. I still loved my son. I also loved the woman I had spent 69 years becoming. She deserved control of her name, money, home, and future. She deserved Christmas without a chore list. She deserved to say no without being threatened with loneliness. The hardest part was not moving the money or calling a lawyer. It was allowing Nathan to be angry without treating his anger as proof that I had done something wrong. Sometimes another person's outrage is only the sound of a door closing that they believed would always remain open. If you recognize yourself in this story, remember this: love is not measured by how much disrespect you can endure. Family does not gain ownership of your time, savings, property, or choices simply because they know how to make you feel guilty. You are allowed to protect your accounts, ask for everything in writing, and disappoint someone who profits from your lack of boundaries. You are allowed to love people from a distance they did not expect. Real love can survive the word no. Entitlement cannot. Have you ever had to set a hard boundary with someone you still loved? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may help another person realize that protecting their peace is not cruelty. If this story stayed with you, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, protect your name, protect your home, and remember, sometimes the most loving word in a family is no.